Hello students, welcome to today's class. Today we are going to talk about one of the important influence on the adolescent, the peer group. The main objectives of this lesson are to know the importance of peers, then to understand what are the various functions of peers. Then the final objective is to understand the concept of friendship and what makes the friendship stable. Peers are the people of approximately the same age and social status. They make important contributions to development, especially in the social and emotional domain. For many children and adolescents, interacting with friends is more important than completing a classroom assignment. Peer group serves primarily as companions, as source of amusement, excitement and pleasure. This quality of relationship with peers permits a new kind of interpersonal experimentation and which will help to develop social competence and social justice. Peers basically influence each other by serving as social models. Children acquire a wide range of knowledge and variety of responses by observing their peers. Children tend to imitate peer model who are warm, rewarding and powerful. Therefore, the child's self-image and self-acceptance are closely associated with approval of peers. The use of social comparison with peer group serves as a self-evaluation in many children. As peer group interactions becomes more elaborate, adolescents learn to appreciate diverse viewpoints, become sensitive to norms and pressures of group, and also experience the intimacy of friendship. During adolescent stage, peer group becomes a source of feedback and self-validation, the significance of which loosens the ties with family members. Peer group helps adolescents to develop an identity, adapt to their environment and interpersonal relationship activities. Families nurture self-esteem, whereas peer group is crucial for self-evaluation. Adolescents learn more about themselves as their skills are appraised by others outside the family. Thus, peer group can be defined as the collection of people who constitute one's associates. Increasing relationship with peers of both the sexes serve as an introduction to later adulthood relations in work and also in social relations. Now let us understand what are the various functions of the peer group. Firstly, a peer group functions as an imperative supportive feature in shaping an individual's self-esteem and self-valuation. On one hand, peer relationships can help one develop and maintain his or her own image as competent, attractive and worthy. Poor peer relationships can lead one to perceive oneself as incapable and of low value to society. This was a research done by Rinn, Reynolds and McQueen in the year 2011. The peer groups have significant influence on individual because at the age when maturity has not fully developed, one tends to be more concerned with peers' perceptions and comments more than that of their parents and siblings. Hence, peers' remarks form an essential element that shapes the social psychology of children and adolescents. The second crucial role of peer group is the provision of emotional security under unprecedented or threatening situations. This was suggested by Mocklinker and Shaver in the year 2009. Even a simple presence of a peer without even verbal communication or physical contact may provide reassurance and boost confidence of an adolescent. This is especially significant during late childhood and early adolescence when greater transition takes place and is equally pronounced in both genders. This aspect can have important implications as to whether children are willing to explore a new environment, try new behavior and take risks as typically associated with growth. Then the next function of peer group is that peer groups provide the foundation for intimate relationships as they are essential non-family context for intimacy and affection. During the growth process, family companionship is slowly displaced by same-sex companionship and eventually taken over by opposite-sex companionship. This was suggested by Brewster and Furman in the year 1987. The expressed care, concern and affection for one's partner have been rightly identified as important and a defining characteristic of peer relationship during late childhood and adolescent stages. As the role of companionship is taken over by peers, peer relationships become essential as individuals learn how to care for people out of their blood relations and learn social norms and various social distances from their peer groups. In fact, many psychologists repeatedly emphasize the contribution of peer relationship to specific social skills, particularly to child self-presentation or impression management skills for positioning oneself effectively and adaptively in various social situations. For example, in a research done by Fine in 1981 and 87, he argued that childhood peer relationship, especially friendships, are more important arenas for testing the bounds of acceptable behavior and maintaining poise, that means stability under stress. He noted that within the boundaries of friendship, inadequate displays will typically be ignored or corrected without loss of face. In this connection, Grun, Baum and Solman in the year 1987 observed that much childhood play deliberately perpetuates a loss of poise. Children and adolescents play pranks, include dizziness, kid or tease one another. In peer relations, these tests of social poise help prepare one for maintenance of self-image and self-control later in their lives. As such, the peer group are very important in shaping how individuals interact with non-family counterparts in the future. The other important functions of peer group are providing primary status. An individual earns this through his own efforts with the demonstration of his abilities and skills. It differs from attributed status, which comes from being a member of a given family. Peer group help the adolescent form a self-image by gaining a primary status. Next, peer group provides norms for governing the behavior. As peer groups establish their own norms and standards of behavior, the adolescent is able to deviate from parental norms while having their support. This support is particularly important to the adolescents because of initial confusion they experience when confronted with values, lifestyles and vocations that comprise a society. Peer group norms are designed to provide both guidelines for behavior and as a source of common evaluation for appraising activities. Then, peer group facilitates emancipation from the family. Healthy family relationships more naturally and normally leads to adolescents' independence. Peer group builds on this trend because of intensity of relationship in the modern nuclear family. It serves as a distancing function between parents and adolescents. It helps the parents to see the adolescents as an independent individual. Furthermore, the adolescent begins to understand both the satisfaction and pain of relating to others in an independent adult fashion other than parents. Then, peer group acts as a testing ground because it allows adolescents to test themselves in variety of roles. They can test their abilities, emotions, feelings, values and lifestyles within an empathetic group. By observing and talking about how peers react to an adolescent way of thinking, behaving, he further refines his self-concept and also the range of his or her behaviors. Then, peers provide partners for practicing existing social skills and trying out new ones. When adolescents interact with their peers, they acquire skills in perspective of talking, persuasion, negotiation, compromise and also emotional control. So, these skills become very important later in their life. Peers basically help to socialize with one another. Children and adolescents socialize with one another in several ways. They define options for leisure time getting together in a study room. They offer new ideas and perspective, perhaps demonstrating how to do certain activity. They serve as a role models and provide standards for acceptable behavior. They show what is possible, what is admirable, what is cool, as students now call it. They reinforce one another for acting in a way deemed approximate for their age, gender, ethnic group and also cultural background. The next function of peer group is that it contributes to the sense of identity. Association with a particular group of peers help adolescents to decide who they are and who they want to become. They compare themselves with peers and observe how their own characteristics, for example, physical characteristics, school achievements, etc., are unique. As a result, they look inwards at their own characteristics rather than outward at their peers. Then, peers also help one another make sense of their lives. Peers help in sorting the issues which are confusing, ambiguous and troubling events. By sharing, criticizing one another's ideas, perspectives, beliefs and values, adolescents construct increasingly complex perspective understanding the world around them. Then the next function is that peers provide emotional and social support. Adolescents often seek comfort from peers when they are anxious or upset. All these are the very important functions of peer group which help an adolescent to grow and become socially adaptable. Next, we are going to talk about peer pressure. Peer pressure is the influence on people by their peers. As a result, people start following their opinions and lifestyle. Furthermore, it is considering a person or his opinion above all and giving him the priority. During the adolescent stage of an individual, peer pressure is one of the most vital indicators in behavioral problems. Peer pressure from, say for example, a lousy association during youth can lead an individual into very horrible situation and hampers one's whole career also. In the social and emotional development of youngsters, peers play a huge role. Their influence starts at an early stage and increases throughout their teenage years. A child needs to have an honest and healthy relationship with their friends and rely on them to grow and mature together. There are many positive and supportive outcomes of having peers to help a child to develop new skills or stimulate interest in extracurricular activities or their studies. But peers can also have negative influences. They might encourage each other to cheat, steal, share inappropriate materials online, use drugs and alcohol, or even involve in other risky behaviors. In majority of the cases, in teenagers with substance abuse, they start using drugs or alcohol due to peer pressure. The pressure can take place either in person or nowadays even through social media platforms. The main reason an adolescent gives into peer pressure is that they want to fit in and be liked by children of his age. And they face anxiety issues about being left out if they don't go along with the group. The adolescent performs a task that he is not willing to due to the frustrating peer pressure also. Peer pressure lands a negative impact on an individual as a person and on the mindset of listening to himself first but considering other decisions favorable to himself. Peer pressure faced during an individual's youth can hamper their studies, career if not averted at the right time. Adolescence is a stage when a youngster desires adult-like treatment as they begin to look like an adult on the exterior, but the interior can be easily influenced. Taking advantage of these situations, many peers encourage criminal activities, aggression and also other antisocial behavior. The only way to stop these behaviors among youngsters caused by peer pressure is to teach children tips about saying no when required and staying away from peers who pressure them to do things that they are not comfortable doing or which are dangerous. They have to spend time with children who can say no to peer pressure and always consult an adult they trust if they have a problem resisting peer pressure. The parents and teachers also should pay attention to how children are communicating with them if they face any kind of difficulties. Then in the next section, we are going to talk about friends, basically stability of friendship. So the development of stable friendship takes place in different stages of adolescence. The first stage is early adolescent age, which is from 10 to 14 years of age. Differences in relationships between friends and non-friends intensify during early adolescent stage. Many young adolescents reveal their weaknesses and vulnerabilities to close friends, even as they may try to maintain a demeanor of competence and self-confidence in front of most other age mates. They begin to confront feelings of possessiveness and jealousy about friends, and after the age of 11, the number of close friends slowly declines. Many friendship pairs gradually converge into larger groups such as cliques. Then in the next stage, which is late adolescent stage from 14 to 18 years of age. Older adolescents here tend to be quite selective in their choice of friends. They tend to nurture relationships with a few friends that they keep sometime throughout their lives, and having such friendship enhances their self-esteem. Many friendships in late adolescence are enriched with self-disclosure, intimacy and also loyalty. Older teenagers frequently turn to friends for emotional support in times of trouble or confusion, and they are likely to engage in lengthy discussions about personal problems and possible solutions also. In the process, they often discover that they aren't as unique as they once thought. For such reasons, friendships become especially important during the teenage years. There are also different types of friendship groups. The different types of friendship groups are like, first one is cliques. These are moderately stable friendship groups of perhaps say 3 to 10 individuals, and such groups provide the setting for most voluntary social interactions. Boundaries tend to be fairly rigid and exclusive. Membership in various cliques affects social status and dominance with peers. In early adolescence, cliques effects are usually comprised of single sex, like all girls or all boys. In later adolescence, cross-sex cliques become increasingly common. The emergence of cliques in early adolescence stage heightens young people's concerns about acceptance and also popularity. The group that resists a powerful dominant culture by adopting a significantly different way of life. They are defined by common values, beliefs and behavioral patterns. Adolescents are more likely to affiliate with subcultures when they feel alienated from the dominant culture. They also tend to develop subcultures when they are pessimistic or apathetic about their future. Then the next type of friendship group is called as gang. A gang is a cohesive social group characterized by initiation rites, distinctive colors and symbols, ownership of specific territory and feuds with one or more rival groups. They have well-defined dominant hierarchies with specific role defined to each member. Typically, they are governed by strict rules of behavior with stiff penalties for breaking them. Adolescents affiliate with gangs for a variety of reasons, basically to demonstrate their loyalty to their family, friends or neighborhood, for the sake of status or prestige gang membership bring, which have poor academic records and see the gang as an alternative arena in which they might be successful and gain some kind of recognition for their accomplishments. Many members of gangs have troubled relationships with their families, or they have been consistently rejected by peers, and so they turn to street gangs to get emotional support they can find nowhere else. In conclusion, we can say that although peer groups are vital, children and adolescents will experience a truly holistic and balanced social development only if the other agencies such as parents, society also have an adequate and positive effect. In short, The importance of peer group to social development of children and adolescents depends very much on the quality of peer relationships as well as the other agencies that they feel more attached to. Now let us summarize what we have learnt in today's lesson. Peers are the people of same age basically. They make important contributions to development, especially in the social and emotional domain. Children acquire a wide range of knowledge and variety of responses by observing their peer group. The main functions of the peer include providing primary status, providing norms for governing behavior, facilitating emancipation from the family. Peers also provide their partners for practicing existing social skills and also trying out new ones. They also contribute to sense of identity. They help one another make sense of their lives and they provide emotional and social support to each other. The concept of peer group is also important for peer pressure. This has both advantages and disadvantages. Peer pressure basically helps to motivate the child. It helps a child develop new skills or stimulate interest in extracurricular activities or in their studies. But peer group can also have negative influences. They might encourage each other to cheat, steal, share inappropriate materials if they are online, use drugs and alcohol, or even involve in any other risky behaviors. The development of stable friendship takes place in different stages of adolescence, like early adolescence and also late adolescent stage. And then the types of friendship groups are cliques and also gangs. All of these aspects contribute to the stability of friendship and development of adolescence.